Hello, my fellow Christian fiction lovers. Welcome to another video. The puppy wants in on this one. Hello. I typically film when I'm home alone, so he has to be with me everywhere, and sometimes he needs to be held. Are you gonna settle down? Okay, go under the table. Good idea. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you some of the books that are on my book bucket list. So I feel like everybody knows what a TBR is, and we all have mile-long TBRs at this point, but this is something that I'm sure other people have it, but I just kind of created it in the back of my mind a while ago, and this is my book bucket list. So books that I want to read eventually in my life. They're not on my shortlist TBR, or, some books you just put on your TBR and you feel like, oh, I'll eventually get around to reading them. But these are books that I actually want to read, not just for the benefit of reading, but also for the benefit of education and reading certain greater works of literature. So the first one actually isn't a classic. Most of these are going to be classics, but the first one is not. This is at the top of my bucket list, and it is called A Little Life. I would butcher saying the author's name, so I'm just going to leave it unspoken. And this book, I thought it was published in the last couple of years. I mean, technically it was. It was published in 2015, but I really thought it was a 2018, 2019 book, because I've really only heard people talk about it within the last 6 months to a year. And from what I know about this book, it is basically about 4 different people who are part of a friend group, and I believe they all go to university together. And it's just about their different lives and struggles, and how the ordinary life can be rather hard and difficult. And I've heard that the trigger list for this book is quite extensive, so I would definitely do your research before reading it. I have read and watched multiple reviews, and I feel like it is something that I one day want to consume when I am in the right mindset for it. As of right now, my mental health is not at a place where I want to read a very triggering book. But later down the road, when I'm in a more stable place, I think this is a book that I should read. So that was the first book. Moving on to book number 2, and that would be War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. And this book is incredibly long. I probably will not pick up this book for years. I know that, I recognize that. I am not educated enough or brave enough to read that book right now, but it is quite literally one of the longest books ever, and I know it touches on a lot of history, and it has persisted for a very long time, since its publication, and it's a classic. So this is probably one of those books that I will read when I'm retired and have nothing else to do. I don't think this is a book that I will touch during my YouTube career. So sorry if you wanted to hear my thoughts on it. This is not a book that I will be reading anytime soon, but it is on my bucket list. Okay, the next book on my list is kind of like a book / an author, and that is A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. I would also like to read some other Charles Dickens books, but A Tale of Two Cities is just up there because I do know a bit about the story, and I watched a musical adaptation of it, and so I already kind of know a bit about it, and I really liked it. The next book / books on my bucket list is the Lord of the Rings trilogy. This is a series that so many people have told me I need to read as a Christian reader, and I have come so close to buying them before, but I haven't for some reason. I'd really like to get these read in the next couple of years for sure, probably the next 2 years. I've heard it's a similar vibe-ish to the Chronicles of Narnia, and I loved the Chronicles of Narnia. I want to reread the Chronicles of Narnia. That's on my reread bucket list. but I definitely need to get to the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So next is a book that like, it's kind of on the TBR and it's kind of on the bucket list. Like, I don't know, it's got a foot on each side. But I'm gonna include it in the bucket list because I absolutely fell in love with the film that Netflix made for this book. It just blew me away and I loved it so much, and so now I desperately want to read the book, and that would be Rebecca. I don't know how old this novel is. Some people consider it a classic, some people don't. I think I would. I had knowledge of this book prior to watching the film, didn't really feel like it would be something I was into, but after watching the film, which was quite literally one of the best movies I have ever seen, a cinematic masterpiece, I kind of want to watch it again now that I'm talking about it. I desperately want to read the book. Even though I already know what's going to happen, I need to read the book. Expect that within the next 6 months. Like, that is in my Amazon shopping cart at the moment. Okay, so the final 3 items on my book bucket list, I have kind of halfway gotten there. So the first is I want to read more Shakespeare. I've read Romeo and Juliet and Macbeth, both for school. And I enjoyed analyzing them and interpreting them in literature class. I think I would somehow need to go through the same process when reading more of his works, because I cannot just read his script and read the iambic pentameter and know what it means. That it's just very hard for me. So I think I would need to watch it or read it and watch it, and also use Spark Notes or something to help me interpret it, because I don't think I could just sit down, open up a Shakespeare play and just be like, oh, that was really good. No, I'd be sitting there scratching my head and being like, what is going on? Definitely want to read more of his work because he was just a genius of a playwright. Something that I am almost finished with is reading all of Jane Austen's novels. I have read 4.5 of them. 4.5 of the 6. Am I getting that right? 1, 2, 3, 4.5. Yeah, I have. So I read half of Persuasion a couple years ago. I just need to start from the beginning and finish it, but we're almost there with that one. I definitely see that being completed in the next 6 months for sure. And then finally, I would really, really like to finish all of the Sherlock Holmes stories. I have his whole collection here in 2 little mass market paperback volumes. They are not little, I don't know why I said that. And I used to read one every night because they're short stories. I used to read one every day, and I have just fallen out of that, so I really need to get back into it because I love Sherlock Holmes mysteries. They are just, I'm really happy when I read them. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I used to read them all the time and they just make me feel happy and content, especially with you get the satisfaction of solving a mystery alongside one of the best literary detectives of all time. I don't know. They're just really cool. So eventually, I'm halfway through the collection right now. Eventually I will get there. I'm not gonna put a timeline on that one. It'll just happen when it happens. But that is my book bucket list. Yeah, I'm sure there are more books that should be on that bucket list. This is just kind of the short list. Feel free to drop recommendations in the comments. I'm sure I've read some really popular works that I just haven't included in the video because obviously I've already read them. But yeah, let me know what you think should be on this list that's on the notes app on my phone, and maybe I'll add it. Probably I will, because I'm a sucker for a good book. So let me know what's on your book bucket list, or if you want to create one now that you watched this video. Do I have that much persuasion on YouTube? Probably not. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a like, and if you want to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe, and I will see you Friday for whatever video that is. Until then, bye!